We are coming back to you with a new version of the calendar. So first, I would like to start for thanking you for your feedback and your patience. As you know, this change can be very difficult, and we understand this is large change. We need to continue to put our students first and focus on our original whys of the consistency in our growth and improvement practices. Again, reiterating that growth in our system and in our teachers equates to growth in our students. So we appreciate that that continues to be at the forefront of our decisions, although obviously with those decisions, it requires flexibility and compromise on logistical ends, and we do hear and understand that. So where we're at now is, I'm just going to slide this over so you can see the changes made, is moving and pivoting yet again, and again, appreciate your patience, moving away from the 2-hour early release every Friday and changing to a 1-hour early student release on Wednesdays. This will allow us to keep our pre-K schedule at a Monday through Thursday schedule rather than in our proposal of switching their days Tuesday through Friday. There were no snow days built into our original proposals. Based on feedback, we have built those back in around that Easter break. There was a proposal that people were allowed to vote on that allowed for a spring break. And it looks like by the votes there, 175 was in favor of that, but there were about 249 to be exact, that were against. So it looks like at this point, we will not have that March spring break built in, This adjustment to teacher hours or days was not proposed at all in the beginning, but in order to move to less of an impact on student time, and in order to move to this 1-hour early release, we are proposing a little bit of a shift in thinking and how our teachers get their 190 contract days in. I will move this in a minute and you will see the calendar and I'll explain that a little bit more. A great number of feedback also relayed to us that both students and teachers would appreciate a tad bit longer of a break at each trimester. And so we've built in a day there. And then in the original 2 calendar options, students were either attending until May 26th or the 30th. And listening to that feedback and the strong opinions on requesting students to be done earlier in May, we figured out a way, obviously pending weather-related delays and what have you, to get that in. So let's look at this in a calendar version. So what you see here is the light blue is every Wednesday being a 1-hour early release for students. There are no 2-hour early releases anywhere left in the calendar. So even on these days that are the day before a holiday or the day before a break, in the past, those would have been 2-hour early releases. Those are no longer. They're all, if we ever have an early release, obviously, unless it's because of weather, it is consistently throughout a 1-hour, and they are all on Wednesdays. So the way that we are going to continue to strive to meet our values and goals as a district to grow together and improve our practices, this 1 hour where students are released is where we will gather all of our teachers for our professional development goals. That does not solve the need for our teachers to collaborate on student needs and what we need to do to grow and change to meet their needs. So the way that we are going to solve that in this proposal is that for each of these Wednesdays, after their 1 hour of professional development, they will stay for an additional hour. That is not extra time in their contract. Rather, that is an exchange of time. So already in a normal calendar year, teachers conduct parent-teacher conferences. And those parent-teacher conferences happen outside of the school contract day. And the way that we make that right with teachers is they work those hours outside of the contract day, but they get a comp day back for those parent-teacher conferences. And that happens multiple times a year, so it equates to 2 compensation days. The way we are looking at these Wednesdays with this extended hour for teachers is that they would get those back in teacher compensation days. That is allowing us to have 2 days off for both teachers and students at the end of each trimester. Again, this is not additional time for teachers. This is like teachers handing us $1 and us handing them back 4 quarters. It's an exchange of time that we feel will continue to not compromise our goals and values of taking care of our teachers and helping them be the best versions of themselves, yet having a less or a more minimal impact on student schedules and student times. Again, we appreciate the original gathering of feedback from both our employees and our families and community. This allowed us to really think again on our original proposals, and we appreciate that. As Brene Brown states, learning requires focus, but unlearning and relearning requires much more. That requires us to embrace a culture of courage over comfort. And that process really has pushed us in this way, and we appreciate it. We do believe that we are trying to teach our students to embrace a culture of learning and exploring, and we can't do that if our adults are not willing to continually question old assumptions and embrace new ideas and new perspectives. We understand that we live in an increasingly divided world. That is evident. But our hope is with this proposal, we can all find a way to move forward together.